only advice I can give people for when you lose someone like that is you won't ever get over it.
Hollywood has seen its fair share of scandalous divorces, but few have captivated the public like Billy Bob Thornton's high-profile splits. From his whirlwind romance with Angelina Jolie to the drama that unraveled behind closed doors, the Oscar-winning actor has kept much of his pain and truth buried, until now. In a bombshell revelation after divorcing, Billy Bob Thornton finally breaks silence, shedding light on secrets, regrets, and the raw truth behind the headlines. What did he reveal? Let's dive in. Before Angelina Jolie and the media frenzy that followed, Billy Bob Thornton's first marriage held its own secrets, revealing a quieter yet equally compelling chapter of heartbreak and struggles. Let's rewind a bit on it. Billy Bob's first taste of love and loss. Imagine a young couple, bright-eyed and full of dreams, stepping into the world of love and marriage. Such was the story of Billy Bob Thornton and Melissa Lee Gatlin, whose romance began in the late 1970s. As brief as it was, their time together was filled with passion, challenges, and ultimately heartbreak. Billy Bob and Melissa met for the first time in 1977, and the spark that ignited them would lead to their marriage just 1 year later. Billy was an up-and-coming actor at the time, trying to find his niche in Hollywood. Melissa was also ambitious and a talented singer. The two shared their dreams and were young and full of energy, or so it would seem. As they settled into married life, reality began to seep in. On June 30th, 1979, the couple welcomed their daughter, Amanda Thornton, into this world. The joy of parenthood brought both happiness and strain to their relationship. While Amanda was a blessing, the pressures of balancing careers and family life soon took their toll. Billy's burgeoning career came with its own set of challenges. As he chased his dreams in an unforgiving industry, he found himself increasingly distant from Melissa. Cracks began to appear in their marriage. Later, Melissa would identify incompatibility as a major reason for their breakup. Their lifestyles started to take on different directions, with Billy frequently consumed by his work and the pursuit of success, while Melissa looked for stability and connection at home. The love that once felt so alive gradually turned gray and unrecognizable. Just 2 short years later, in December 1980, Melissa filed for divorce. The divorce papers cited adultery as the cause for the split, a nasty blow that brought even more stress on the tension between them. The public spotlighting of the split served only to worsen it for both of them. From a celebrated model couple of young love to a cautionary tale of Hollywood romance gone badly wrong. Despite the turmoil, there remained a thread of affection between them. They had shared dreams and moments that would forever bind them as co-parents to Amanda. However, life wasn't easy for both Billy and Melissa after the divorce. Both moved on with their respective lives. Billy went deeper into his acting, and Melissa concentrated on her music. If anything, their marriage may have been brief, but it certainly wasn't insignificant. It was the kind of formative experience for Billy Bob Thornton that prepared him for all those other complex relationships that were waiting to happen in his life. After the unraveling of his first marriage, Billy Bob Thornton sought a fresh start with Toni Lawrence, but this new chapter would soon take an unexpected turn. Love on shaky ground. Among many of the tales of Hollywood romance, few match the intrigue behind Billy Bob Thornton and Toni Lawrence. A youthful passion and a high ambition for art brought them into union with each other during the mid-1980s, with both still finding their feet in the unstable waters of the entertainment industry. Actually, it was through their profound interest in acting that Billy Bob and Toni first met in Los Angeles. This was the attractive actress who had appeared in the series McCloud and the film Pigs. She was quite charmed by Billy's charisma and persistence. He was at the time still an upcoming actor trying to make his way into the often cruel world of acting. In no time, with all hopes and expectations running high, the two set off like rockets. They got married on April 5, 1986. It was a pretty decent relationship to begin with. The two were enjoying being young and in love as they were building their careers. As time passed, the pressures of Hollywood began to wear on them. While Billy worked hard to be known as a serious actor, it seemed like Toni was fighting for recognition in her own right. With both their careers going at such a rampant rate, there was little time left to devote to their relationship. However, amidst such high-flying ambitions, cracks started to appear in this marriage. The intricacies of personal and professional lives started creating misunderstandings, growing them further apart. Unlike many Hollywood couples living off publicity, Billy Bob and Toni led a relatively quiet life. Although their life was noble, it occasionally contributed to their feelings of isolation. The only sad fact is that they did not have a child to complete the marital happiness. This may be a missing link in their completeness of togetherness. As time progressed, it became evident that their future plans were not entirely aligned. That excitement which characterized their relationship slowly turned into a backdrop of disappointed expectations. The situation escalated in 1987, just a year after they exchanged vows. The murmurs of dissatisfaction and incompatibility grew too loud to ignore, leading to their separation, and by 1988 the marriage had officially ended, adding another chapter to Billy Bob's list of turbulent romantic entanglements. People often speculate about the reasons behind their breakup. Neither party has come forward with the details, but most definitely, the demands of their professions played a strong role in tugging them in different directions. At a time when Billy was still grappling with auditions and rejections in his acting career, Toni felt she was at a pivotal point in her career. Their previously shared dreams began to diverge significantly. This brief, yet powerful marriage now, in retrospect, proved to be the building blocks of Billy Bob Thornton's idea of love and commitment. He learned a great deal about compatibility and how to nurture relationships through life's chaotic moments during his time with Toni. Following his split from Toni Lawrence, Billy Bob Thornton entered a third marriage with rising star Cinda Williams, only to face a turning point neither saw coming: when love meets ambition. No tale can be quite as convincing as that of Billy Bob Thornton and Cinda Williams when Hollywood romances blow up and then fizzle out with each passing new day. Both were rising talents in the early 1990s and finding their niche in entertainment. Ambition and desire swirled thick in the air, and it was during this most heady, electric period that they crossed paths. Billy Bob and Cinda met when each of their careers was on the rise. Cinda was already one of the most critically acclaimed actresses and nailed the screen with her explosive performance in the film Mo' Better Blues, while Billy started to make his mark by writing and acting. The both of them met through love for the arts. Soon, their friendship blossomed into a love relationship, and they finally tied the knot on December 29, 1990. It was, at least for a time, something of a marriage of dreams. Young, talented, and, the perfect couple, taking the ups and downs of Hollywood together. At least that was until the months dragged on into years and the respective challenges of their careers started to gall them. Billy sometimes became possessed with work, just putting his heart and soul into scripts or acting, while Cinda pursued her success in the sometimes cruel world of trying to make it big. Besides, the marriage was childless, a situation that only made it worse. Many couples would be overjoyed to have children, but Billy and Cinda, being career professionals, had limited time to nurture their love for each other. Their lack of shared responsibilities may have caused them to grow apart. However, it was navigating those choppy waters of Hollywood fame that brought tension into their relationship. They were drifting apart, each caught up in his or her own interests. Billy would later express regrets about their union, suggesting that they were too young and too focused on their careers to succeed. "We were just friends. We had no business being married," he said later to an interviewer. Just 2 years later, by 1992, the two had gone their separate ways. One would think that Billy Bob would have given up after 3 failed marriages. However, his union with Pietra Don Cherniak promised hope. But behind closed doors, it unraveled into a storm of shocking revelations. Behind closed doors, the turbulent third marriage with Cinda Williams had just ended when Billy Bob Thornton felt an overwhelming urge for a restart, a new chapter of hope and love. At that moment, Pietra Dawn Cherniak, a stunning model and actress, seemed to align perfectly with Billy's desires. Their 1993 meeting started a whirlwind romance that led to their wedding, but not without its ups and downs. Billy and Pietra tied the knot in the bling world of Hollywood on December 19, 1993. While their passion was undeniable, the raw excitement for their crafts often made life feel overwhelming, especially within their already complicated relationships. Pietra, embodying the quintessential playboy chick, only intensified that energy between them. Together, they welcomed 2 sons, William Langston Thornton, born in June 1993, and Harry James Thornton, born in June 1994. The children's joy brought them closer, but it also brought pressures that would affect their marriage. With time, the spark began to subside. As they strived to meet their personal expectations and the demands of starting a family, pressures began to mount. Bob's career was on the rise, taking him deeper into more serious projects and obligations. On the other hand, Pietra feels she was growing apart. Being married to a rising superstar did not always make her feel like anything more than a secondary character in their very own drama. Over time, the cracks in their marriage began to appear and then widen. In early 1997, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. But the divorce proceedings would prove anything but uncomplicated. In court documents, she claimed a disturbing pattern of physical abuse at the hands of Bob throughout their marriage. These revelations sent shockwaves through the media and painted a grim picture of their once cinematic love story. Billy Bob was, however, furiously denying all these, and while admitting that their marriage was indeed troubled, he never acted hostile as described by Pietra. "Our marriage was not perfect," Billy Bob insisted, "but I never exhibited the behavior she's accusing me of." He then gradually started to shift his attention toward shielding his children from the scandal stirred by their acrimonious split. The divorce proceeding was extremely tense, as each party fought not only for custody of their children, but also for their own dignity and reputation. Their marriage finally ended after just 4 years, managing to bring them back to reality. That even in the world of love and ambition, things don't always happen according to the way one wants them to. Now, for the part we've all been waiting for, the explosive marriage to Angelina Jolie, a relationship so intense it captivated the world and ended in mystery. The Jolie-Thornton marriage. The chemistry between Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie was palpable from the moment they met on the set of Pushing Tin back in 1999. It was a collision of 2 powerful personalities, artists grappling with their own demons and desires. Angelina, fresh from her divorce from Johnny Lee Miller, found herself drawn to Billy's rugged charm and artistic spirit. Little did they know that this whirlwind romance would become one of Hollywood's most talked-about love stories. As filming progressed, the tension between them on screen turned into a very passionate off-screen relationship. They were inseparable and often spotted together in public. This bold gesture caught the media's attention and set them in place as a couple that thrived on being unconventional. They got married in May 2000 in a spontaneous Las Vegas ceremony, just weeks after Billy had ended his engagement to actress Laura Dern. The marriage seemed like a fairy tale to many outsiders, the gothic aesthetics, a love for the bizarre that this couple shared. It was all perfect, it seemed, in those days. They purchased an opulent house in Los Angeles and spoke about intimate details of their lives in interviews, at times referring to how intimacy was the glue that held their marriage together. They would often celebrate their common interests, art, music, and philanthropy, creating a flurry of creativity and love that captivated fans and tabloids alike. Their relationship wasn't just a love story. It sparked intense media frenzy and fueled countless controversies. Let's dive into the chaos that followed. The drama unfolds. When Billy Bob Thornton and Angelina Jolie fell in love, they didn't just capture each other's hearts, they captured the world's attention with their unique and often outrageous expressions of affection. Their relationship was filled with passion and, let's be honest, a fair share of controversy. One of the most talked about aspects of their romance was the infamous vials of blood. Yes, you read that right. Blood. The couple took the concept of love tokens to an entirely new level by wearing vials containing each other's blood around their necks. To many, this seemed like an eccentricity straight out of a gothic romance novel. But for Billy Bob and Angelina, it was a symbol of their deep connection. In interviews, Billy explained that it was a simple gesture born out of their intense feelings for one another. Then there were the matching tattoos. This couple didn't shy away from visible declarations of love. They inked themselves with designs that reflected their bond. Angelina had Billy's name tattooed on her arm, while he got one that represented her. These tattoos became symbols not just of their love, but also of their willingness to embrace the unconventional. In an industry where many relationships are fleeting, their commitment to each other was evident in these permanent marks. Their gothic aesthetics further fueled public intrigue. Both were known for their dark and edgy styles. Think leather jackets, dramatic makeup, and an overall vibe that screamed rebellion against Hollywood norms. They often appeared together at events looking like they had stepped out of a Tim Burton film, which only intensified the fascination surrounding them. This unique style resonated with fans who admired their authenticity in an industry often criticized for its superficiality. However, with all this attention came scrutiny. The media had a field day dissecting every aspect of their relationship, often portraying it as bizarre or unhealthy. Critics questioned whether their intense displays were genuine love or merely a publicity stunt. After years of silence and speculation, Billy Bob Thornton is finally ready to reveal the truth about his divorce from Angelina Jolie. What really happened? Billy Bob speaks out. At the heart of their marriage, Billy Bob knew he had insecurities. As an actor and writer, he always felt the shadow of Angelina's truly global stardom, and being 20 years older only compounded his insolvency. He has mentioned in interviews how being married to such a highly profiled star made him feel worse about himself. "I never felt good enough for her," he confessed. This internal conflict caused a rift between them, as Billy was deeply afraid of falling short of Angelina's expectations and the public's perception of their relationship. Their lifestyle differences further exacerbated these insecurities. Angelina, with her penchant for adventure through international travel, humanitarian missions, and red carpet walks, embodied the fast-paced lifestyle and reveled in the spotlight. Billy, conversely, struggled with agoraphobia and preferred solitude and lack of attention from others. Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by an intense fear or anxiety about being in situations where escape might be difficult, or help unavailable in the event of a panic attack or other embarrassing symptoms. While Angelina sought experience, more company, and the smooth facilitation of relationships, Billy felt overwhelmed with social events and the need for public exposure. Later, he would reflect on how we just had different lifestyles. Hers a global one, and mine is an agoraphobic lifestyle. This basic incongruity imposed a barrier that neither of them could break through. The relationship suffered further due to the relentless public pressure surrounding it. Since day one of the romance, the two had lived under the focused eyes of tabloids and fans alike. The sensationalization of their more eccentric moments, such as wearing vials of one another's blood, turned their private moments into public spectacles. It was this media obsession with their relationship that added to the stress neither wanted to go through. Billy clarified that the media's sensationalized stories about them largely overshadowed their genuine love. The necklaces were a very simple thing. Hey, let's poke our fingers with a pen and smear a little blood on there, and when we're away from each other, we'll wear the necklace. It was that easy, but by the time it came out in the press, it sounded like we were wearing a bucket of blood around our necks. This intense scrutiny made them struggle to maintain a decent relationship. Over time, both Billy Bob and Angelina began to recognize that their career paths were diverging. They were married in a passionate state, but soon discovered that their individual needs were pulling them further apart. They decided to separate in 2003 after merely 3 years of marriage. Since the divorce, Billy Bob has spoken highly of Angelina. He said their marriage was a great time, during which the two did not bear any malice toward each other after splitting up. "Angie's still a friend of mine," he said warmly. Despite the challenges they faced during their separation, both parties have acknowledged each other's achievements in life. Billy Bob Thornton is now married to Connie Anglin. The two started dating back in 2003 when he had just divorced Angelina Jolie. They welcomed a daughter, Bella, into their family in 2004. They later got married in a private event in their home in Los Angeles on the 22nd October 2014. He spoke well of his relationship with Anglin and said that this is a beneficial partnership since they lived the same lifestyle. They have been together for nearly 20 years, experiencing ups and downs without the intense media scrutiny that accompanied Billy Bob's marriage to Angelina Jolie. Why do you think Bob's past relationship with his wives never lasted? Do you think he was the problem and not the women? Also, was it the same factor that affected his sensationalized relationship with Jolie? Tell us in the comments. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. To enjoy more content like this, tap on the next video on your screen.